Hey y'all, hey. Are you drinking your water? Are you minding your business? I love to see it. Welcome to Hydrated and Healed, a podcast series that combines a full glass of real life conversations with a nourishing splash of healing. I'm Angel Glassell. There's so much chaos happening in the world and possibly in your personal life. My goal is to help you navigate the chaos by staying hydrated and healed. And I had to take a sip because it's giving what it's supposed to give. I have to start by saying thank you. If you have watched an episode, subscribed, left me a comment, left me a review, approached me in person, and said, girl, I'll be listening to your podcast. I enjoy it. Thank you. I got some new subscribers. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Hey. Hey. It's giving hydrated and healed. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that. All that. I hope that you have been enjoying these episodes as much as I have been creating them, honey. The learning curve is real. It is real. But it has been super fun and I'm going to keep going. Okay? I'm going to keep going because this is what I got. I have received a lot of questions asking me whenever I describe leaving my last situationship. I always say that I dated myself. And there has been some back and forths. I've heard some people say, oh, that's a red flag. Or I've heard some people say, what do you mean? Like, explain dating yourself. So I thought it would be cool to do an episode on just that. Yeah? Hopefully you are all caught up. When I mentioned the raggedy situations, I'm talking about them situationships. And even kind of referencing a little bit the last episode about the hasty generalizations. So now I want to take you to the time period where I began to embrace and just walk on my healing journey, and I started dating myself, and hopefully offer some tips and suggestions for anybody who's wanting to be hydrated and healed. Yeah? Y'all ready to get into it? Grab your water, grab your business, and let's do it, okay? Let's get into it. So, when my last situationship ended, I said, this ain't it. I don't like this. This is raggedy. I was engaging in raggedy behaviors. I was making raggedy decisions. And I was done. I said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I don't belong here. This is not God's best for my life. What do we need to do to get some things moving and shaking around here? And my light bulb moment, I always say I have light bulb moments, and it's when I come to a crossroads and I'm really having that heart-to-heart conversation with myself, asking what is going on and what are we going to do to get ourselves out of this. So I remember I think I talked about this in episode 2 when I realized I wasn't in the main bedroom, when I was in the side chick room without the decor. I went home that day and I got in the mirror and I said, do you love yourself the way that you say that you love yourself? And I really couldn't answer because it was just a lot going on. So I had started the new job. I was actually transitioning into, because I had a roommate at the time, so I was transitioning into getting my own apartment and trying to figure out how I was going to pay all the bills by myself. And God was like, buckle up, because it's time. And so the very first thing that I did was I had to define my relationship with God. So I am a believer. Jesus is my homeboy. I'm going to stick beside him. He's sticking beside me. and it's going to be okay. So in the past, in those situationships, I never fully gave my entire life to God. It was, you can have these areas, but this over here, I got this. And I remember God saying to me, you need to give it all to me. Give it all. Don't just give me bits and pieces. It's all or nothing. And I remember because I had started reading my word more and really just intentional about establishing my relationship with God. I was still attending church. I never left the church or anything. But I know that my relationship was not then what it is now. So I started just rebuilding and just asking God for forgiveness and learning really what God is about. One of the things I don't do is argue Bible because I just don't be having time. I think everybody has the freedom of choice. You believe what you want to believe. This is what I believe, and I'm going to stick beside it. This works for me. So kind of going back to meeting people where they are. But I know for me, I really was just tired of only giving God a fraction of my time. And once I really started developing that relationship with him, because there's a difference between believing in God and then having a relationship with God. So I started to develop my relationship with God, which involved spending time with him, reading the word, praying, surrounding myself with like-minded people. And once I started really getting to know him and what he was about, it kind of goes back to the scripture, God's ways are not our ways. And being in a space where I felt like, you know what, God, you forgot about me and you don't care. And he was like, you haven't given this to me, so you ain't even giving me nothing to work with. So just establishing my relationship and really being intentional and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this with you. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I have been perfect. I have definitely missed the mark, and I will continue to miss the mark. And there's something really beautiful about that is because that's where Jesus comes in. If I was perfect and didn't make mistakes, then there would be no need for Jesus. But Jesus is the reason that I can keep going and kind of just understanding the whole dynamics of, you know what, Jesus, you really like my homeboy. You my friend. You the homie. And I'm going to stick beside you. And once I did that, he began to really just unlock this whole idea about how I started to see myself and really beginning to see myself the way that God sees me and understanding how God loves me and then tapping into that kind of love for myself. And y'all, everything began to change. It was he was revealing things to me in terms of who I need to hang out with, who I don't need to hang out with. There was a situation where I had left the church, and not left the church as in I'm not believing in God, but I realized that I don't need to be in this environment, so I'm going to find me another church to attend. And when I left, y'all, I left. I dipped. I ain't called nobody. I ain't said nothing. I just dipped. And even in that healing moment, God told me that, there was a super, super sweet lady, Miss Gloria. I don't know if you be watching the podcast, but I love you, Miss Gloria. She is so sweet. She always thinks about me on my birthday, Christmas, New Year's, just super sweet. And one day I was on my way to work, and God revealed to me that that was not the way to handle that, because she would reach out to me and I wouldn't respond. And I remember calling her and apologizing and saying, hey, that was just not the best way for me to handle that. And I mean, to this day, she still checks up on me, just super, super sweet. So thank you for being open, Miss Gloria, to me calling you and asking for forgiveness and just being so gracious and walking me kind of through that, and realizing that there was just a lot going on and the Lord was dealing with me. And there were just also other like relationships that needed to have a conversation, and God was just like revealing and kind of opening it up and putting myself in a position to be obedient and act on it. So I had to, again, just like define my relationship with God and really dig in to see, okay, how can I experience something different, and allowing myself the grace and the space to walk in that, holding on to Jesus' hand for dear life. Okay. And then the second thing I had to learn was to forgive myself. So after I asked God to forgive me, I had to, I said this in a previous episode. I did what I thought was best, and now that I know better, I'm doing better. And giving myself the space and the grace to say, you know what, Angel, that was not a good decision, but your past does not determine your future. And God has given you the grace to walk away from this and just give it all to Him. So allow Him to clear up the soul ties and the bitterness and the frustrations, and allow God to place peace, love, kindness, favor, grace, and really just like walk in that. And y'all, that was, I would probably say they're all my favorite, but this part was like my favorite because I was able to take off the guilt, and I was able to not judge myself, but realize that I'm human and I'm going to make mistakes. And I even carry that in like my friendships and how I move forward and with my family members. And if I have like an incident with somebody, just always going back to that space where there was a time where you messed up. And the same way you ask God to forgive you, you had to forgive yourself. So just like being in a space to meet people where they are. So the element of forgiving myself really opened up this door and just forgiveness, because I had to forgive the people who I thought was raggedy, and even though I was being raggedy too, but not wanting to continue to let those be a source of pain. And that took work. That took work. It was a daily thing. And the beautiful moment that I like to share is with situationship number 2, Verizon. He actually reached out to me. It had been like off and on. So he was like continuing to reach out and continuing to reach out. And I was like, no, I don't want to talk to you. And then I would be like annoyed and irritated that he was trying to reach out to me. And that happened all the way up until this year, actually, where he reached out. And I remember saying to myself, okay, you're going to have to just speak up and use your voice. Like, give yourself your voice back. And he asked me if I wanted to go out on a date. And I said respectfully, no, I am not interested. And when I tell y'all I felt good, I called my mama. I was like, Mom, girl, let me tell you what happened. Because sis is feeling good. It's giving hydrated and healed. Hydrated and healed. So being in that space to forgive myself, and then it really helped with the whole idea of forgiveness and forgiving people and just situations that I was involved in with people who were just being raggedy. And also being in a space kind of like the it's not you, it's not me, recognizing the part that I played in it. And now that I'm showing up different, really keeping that in mind when it comes to dealing with other people, because everybody is not in that space. And I'm a firm believer, you got to meet people where they are. Yeah? All right, so far I said I had to define my relationship with God. I had to forgive myself. And then I had to get to know me. I felt like all of my interests, all of the things that I liked, the way that I explained or described myself was based off of other people's perceptions of me. So, y'all, I went to the basics. Like, there was a point in time where I did not like my name. And I know that it came from being a little girl and having conversations with family members about how they were going to change my name. And so I would always like write my name, but I would like change my middle name and my last name to fit into another name that was not my name. And I got to a point where I said, you know what? This is my name. And I like my name. I think it's a unique name. Like, where is there another Glassell outside of my cousin? But where is there? It's a unique name and I like it. So really just kind of going back to like deep rooted stuff. And you might be like, a name like that can link to an insecurity. For me, it did, because I realized, how do you not like your name, but you can claim or kind of connect that to liking yourself? If you don't like your name, what? The math is not mathing. So once I really began to fully embrace that and clean up the childhood traumas and hurts and insecurities, then it was like, okay, so like, what's your favorite color? What do you like to do in terms of fitness wise? I had started taking fitness classes. I was doing heels classes, twerk classes. I realized how much I like getting my nails done, so I do that. I realized how much I like doing my hair. It was just like this whole motion of really tapping into me. I would take myself to the movies, I would take myself on trips, just loving on me and understanding that I don't need to wait for a significant other to learn things about myself. Yes, there will be things that my partner will unleash or unlock in me, but let's start that process now of getting to know me. And I think that has really helped because the self-awareness is real. And I can tell you what I don't like. I can tell you what makes me uncomfortable. And this was also a space where I learned about my triggers. I think I've mentioned this in a previous episode how my family, they like to yell. They like to yell. And I know for me, yelling is a trigger. And then finding ways to say, hey, I know that we're having a moment and I want to unpack whatever this is, but it has to happen in a healthy way. It has to happen in this context, or I'm not going to be able to engage. And recognizing that I don't have to if I don't want to. Yeah. And then once I started to put those boundaries out there, it really was something to see when my family started to rise to that. And recognizing, okay, I know that you don't like yelling, so let me take a minute and then we'll come back. And it's like, cool, yeah. Or if Angel not around, they know why. And again, still just like meeting people where they are, but also protecting myself and my peace. I know that if I am in a chaotic environment, I'm not gonna do well because I don't like it. It makes me just and then I know where it comes from, but also putting in place things that help me not go back to that. So I think for me, it was something to see, to begin to like put things in place to protect myself and then put things in place to nurture the things that I love. Y'all, I love dancing. Love dancing. I would go to a dance class in a heartbeat. So then finding ways to set aside in my budget time and money to do that. And then kind of like exploring and doing different things. Like, I like rooftops. Honey, one thing I'm going to do is get cute and go to a rooftop. I like it. I like what I like. I like brunch. I like Target. I like Starbucks. I don't know why the Lord has just given me this. I don't want to say bougie, but hey. But I'm down to earth. So I don't want nobody to be like, oh, you bougie. I am bougie, but I'm very down to earth. I'm very, very down to earth. And so, kind of like being in that space of continuing to get to know myself, going vegan, and then learning how to cook. And then I discovered, oh, dang, like I can cook. And I like to cook. And the food be good. Like, the vegan recipes be giving what it's supposed to give. So really just being in a space to get to know yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to come along and show you things about yourself. Learn what your triggers are. Learn what makes you happy. Learn when you need to take a step back and refocus. Another thing that I do is I do like a self check-in. So like I journal and then I just kind of sit and I ask, okay, what do I need in this moment? And last week I legit was like, I need to cry. Like, I just need to get it out. So I had finished stretching and I laid down and I was like, okay, let me cry and get it out. And then, like, as I was crying and getting it out, going back to the word. What does the word say about this? Well, one, why are you crying? And then two, what does God say about this? And then just going back and like saying those scriptures. And when I tell y'all, it was like about a good 10, 15 minutes. And I got up and I was like, okay, I can conquer the day. Let me do what I need to do. Okay, let me get my list out. Let me get the laptop. Let me edit. Let me apply for jobs. Whatever it is that I needed to do, I just felt better because I set aside that moment and being so self aware that I know when I'm getting rattled, I know when I'm tense, I know when I'm not good, and I know when I am good, and just being able to really navigate that. But I would have not gotten to this point had I not set aside the time to get to know me. And taking myself out on dates. I think I've mentioned this, but like going to the movies, going bowling. And if you are someone who likes to go out and you don't have friends to go out with you, try it. Try going out by yourself. It's not bad at all. Like, I will go to the movies in a heartbeat by myself. And then, of course, I have my moments when I reach out to my friends and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If y'all want to come along, let's go. But if they don't, I'm going to still go because I don't want to wait to have a significant other in my life in order to live. Like, you can live now. And another thing I want to say is being single is not a scarlet letter. This is a time for you to be selfish. This is a time for you to go for the things that you want to go for, do the things that you want to do. Live. Live, live, live. And that is one of the things I am so grateful for. I can say that I have lived. Now, I still want to travel and do, some more things. And I know that in due time, I will get to experience the lifestyle that I really want to have. But listen, I'm not going to just be sitting at home like a bump on a log. I'm going to go out and do the things that I want to do while I'm single and really embrace being single. Yeah? All right, so I had to define my relationship with God. I had to forgive myself. I had to get to know me. And then I had to be brave enough to try again. I will be honest and say, especially while I was dealing with the hasty generalizations, baby, I was like, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm not going to date. I'm just going to be here, be by myself, be happy, and be content. And like coming out on the other side, because I want to say this was maybe during like COVID. Because when I tell y'all, I had the time of my life during COVID. I was in here cooking. I was doing DIY projects. I was dancing. Whatever I could do, I was doing it. And it really hit one day when I was in here cooking, baking, or something. And I said, dang, like you real comfortable. And if you want a man, you're going to have to relax a little bit, because there will be a time and a space where you have to share your energy and your space with somebody. So really kind of like backing out of the comfort zone. I mean, still being comfortable um, in my own presence, but now opening myself up and being brave to try again. And that can be very scary. And I'll be honest and transparent and say that I'm still navigating and working on that, because dating is, ooh, child. Woo, child. But one of the beautiful things that I'm seeing, even within just like the last couple of weeks, is being comfortable to put myself out there just a little bit. Just a little bit. And when those triggers start to rise up, like putting them in place and saying, hey, this is different. And you have the wisdom to know, if this ain't it, walk away. And you have the bravery and the, am I saying that right? Yes. Or I'm brave enough to walk away from whatever it is that is not serving me in the way that I would like for it to serve me. Then also too, kind of going back to God. For me, I know that people believe in what they want to believe in, but I'm just a firm believer that it's me and the Lord. And so like seeking him and saying, okay, Lord, is this a green light or a red light? Or do I need to just slow down or kind of ease up? And there's something so cool to see, like when you actually put yourself out there just a little bit, and then you'll see like it starts to flow. And then if it becomes a thing where it doesn't flow, it's like, dang, okay, that did kind of hurt that didn't work out. But I'm glad that I tried. What's that saying? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So like, shoot your shot. And whatever way that looks comfortable for you. So y'all know I went on the Kendra G show. And when I tell y'all, I said, ooh, child. Did I really just do that? But my favorite part about that moment is the bravery that it took for me to muster up enough courage to actually do it. And doing it kind of freed up this whole liberation within me. Like, dang, okay, well, if I could do that, let me see what else I can do. And let me just try it. And if it doesn't work out, then it just means either a not now or a no. And if it's a no, being okay with that, because God's plan is still in motion around here. And knowing and trusting that I'm going to land where I'm supposed to land. So with the, just like the relationship or the job or like the family, the friendships, it's almost like in every area of my life, I feel like I have been freed to at least try. And I ain't gonna lie, it is nerve wracking. It can be very nerve wracking, and them triggers will pop up, but just put them in check. And for me, I cover it with the word. What does God say about this? Oh, be anxious for nothing. I'm not supposed to be anxious. I want to be excited, but I don't want to be anxious. I'm not going to worry about this because I'm not a bird or a lily of the field. And the word says I am more important than that. Okay? So going back, like God's ways are not my ways. So just relax and just chill. Those are the things that have allowed me to get to the space that I'm in now. And I love it here. It's getting hydrated and healed. Mm. 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 And I have to say, even going back to the premise of the show, I always go back to this. It's a daily work. I don't want anybody to look at me and say, dang, she got it all together. She don't make no mistakes. She ain't stressing. She ain't worried about nothing. Because the devil is a lie. Okay? It's a lie. A lie. It's a daily work. Okay? You cannot drink water for one day and be hydrated for the rest of your life. You got to drink water every day. And when I say the healed piece, I'm not saying that I'm healed from everything that I have ever experienced in my life. What I'm saying is I have healed in a way so that those things no longer cause me to show up in a negative way. But it's still a daily work. And I'll have to spin the block on some things and be like, woo, all right, that ain't good. We gotta fix it. We gotta change it. And I have this thing with my friends and my cousin. I'll say, can I have 2 minutes to cut up? And they're like, yes. So I'll call them and then I'll like set the timer and I'm like, all right, let's go. Do this, and that. And then they'll just kind of like let me get it out. We laugh. And then I can come back and say, I'm realizing that this is different. It's going to look different. And I have to be okay with that because I'm doing it God's way this time. And that is a peaceful place to be in. So again, I'm not saying that we got to have it all figured out, have it all together. But it is amazing to be self-aware and to know that every day there's something within you and within your life that needs improvement and attention. And like I say, when you drinking your water and minding your business, you can't afford to look to the left and the right. Because one, you're peeing every 5 minutes. Girl, what happened? I don't even know I was in the bathroom. I have no idea. Oh, wow. Angel, you ain't got nothing to say? That ain't my business. That is not my business. I got enough on my plate to figure out. I can't figure your stuff out too. No. So my question to you is, how do you intend to date yourself? And this can be for single people and married people. Yeah, because my good sis who is married, she always tells me that this process never ends. You are always in a space where you can date yourself. It's just going to look a little bit different when you transition from being single to being married, but the whole process, the whole idea is still there. Yeah? Let me take a sip because it's giving what? Hydrated and healed. You can find me on social media at Angel Glassell or Hydrated and Healed. If you're tuning in by way of Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts or your favorite streaming podcast or YouTube, don't forget to rate, review, comment, subscribe, share, all that. All that. And that's on who? Hydrated and Healed.